stupid mummy. You always get it wrong.
But you're the mummy and I'm the dummy. Wait, oh, you're right, I did get it wrong. We should make a book about this type of thing.
Oh yeah, we definitely should. Let's make it prehistoric.
We're not reviewing that one today, though. Hey everybody, Goosebumps Dummies here. We're going to be talking about something related to toys. Those are indeed toys, not collector's items. They should be played with. We are going to be reviewing Toy Terror Batteries included. This cover art is absolute bollocks, if you know what I mean. Fuck you, nasty calf. You look nasty. Unappealing as shit. Sorry for the swears there. The background's nice, though. Give it that. But, how does the book hold up in comparison? Well, let's find out. And now for the blurb! Wind them up and watch them go. Wild. Great news. You've won a contest. You get to choose between two really cool prizes. A toy robot or a tour of the Hasley Toy Factory. If you choose the tour, watch out for Nasty Kathy. She's a living doll with a bad attitude. And she doesn't like nosy kids like you. Maybe you'd rather choose that toy robot, the Annihilator 3000. You love high-tech stuff. At least you thought you did. But now the Annihilator 3000 is using its laser beam to wreck your house. How will you stop it before it goes after you? The choice is yours in this series, Goosebumps Adventure with back to over 20 super spooky endings. I shot my pants, dude. That was scary. What do you think of this one? Not Prince Carew. Yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah, this one was just pretty good. Not my favorite by any means, but a solid GYG from the catalog. Most of my upsides are kind of by the numbers, so I'm going to be pretty vague on them, though I will point out one right now that isn't. This book has a lot of twists. In fact, they're pretty big and notable, involving characters not being who they say they are. This basically, if you go down a certain plot line, you can activate some of these endings and, paths to endings, obviously, that basically reveal that maybe your friend is a toy. Or a lifelike robot toy, whatever you want to call it. Or maybe the whole town is being turned into these things. Or maybe they're taking over. And the factory that is advertised is their base. And Nasty Kathy might be behind it all. It's crazy, and it's way bigger than what you'd usually expect out of these books. Now, you do get that often. Like, there's a typical all-round plot. But this one's like, okay, so there's actual twists. Not like revelations. These things change the story. And I believe there might even be some hints in there towards them before they happen. I'm not quite sure. But either way, really cool to actually see that for once, where there's actual big twists. But other than that, there's pretty basic upsides. Like, there's some great endings in here. Some of them are pretty dark and not entirely gruely, but pretty dark, like I said, and kind of fun, as expected from a GYG. The most notable thing, apart from the big twists that are in here, are the villains, I guess. There's no particular villain in this book, but the most notable one is obviously Nasty Kathy and the Annihilator 3000 and 1500s. Not even kidding. Those are a thing in here, and they're so funny. I believe it's one particular ending. One of my faves. The villains in here are really good for what they are. Nasty Kathy absolutely shines, even though she looks like shit on the cover. I don't like that cover, just saying it again. And of course, there's also the lifelike robots, and Ralph, who is also one of them, but more of a robot. And you might know Ralph, the security guard robot from the 2015 Goosebumps game. Yeah, Goosebumps the game. He was that robot cop, dude. Really cool. And yeah, this book is very fun. Not an all-time high when it comes to enjoyability, but overall it is a really solid GYG, and you're gonna have a good time with this one. I do not hate any arcs in this book, but the factory arc is where most of the issues come in. If you have watched enough of my GYG reviews and Goosebumps book reviews or anything, or just if you know me well enough, you know I don't like action. That's one of my least favorite genres. In movies, it's typically okay, but in books, it's so boring. I don't like action in books. It feels extremely boring, and it hurts my brain. It's way too fast for me. And this book has 60 fucking pages of running around and beating up toys in the factory warehouse. Yeah. So you can imagine my disenjoyment when it comes to that. I can recommend it enough. I think people really like it. And I do. I genuinely think this is a pretty solid book. As you'll see with my rating. But that's the real kicker here, and the only thing that I take away from. There's some cool stuff in there, and some of the better endings, and like I said, Nasty Kathy, that's where she usually really shines and is in the book, but it gets stale. Yeah, and it hurts my brain, mostly because it feels like we're just repeating a lot of it, because there's some things that lead back into each other, like you fight a toy, you fight it again in a bit, or you can go a certain way and you have to fight it. You know, you should have just fought it earlier. It's annoying. And it's not like it's wholly, like, terrible. It's just, like, it's a lot of the same again. So, yeah, the arc is a bit repetitive and boring to me, mostly because it's action, and I don't like reading action. I mean reading. It's fine on the screen. And, yeah, it just wasn't my arc, even though I still kind of liked it, because there's a lot of good things coming out of it. Apart from those two issues, though, there's some blander endings in here. Like I said, there's some great endings. I really loved a lot of them from the Annihilator arc. But, you know, most of the endings in here, apart from the few or select few that I loved overall, sorry for the voice crack, they're drab. They're uninspired and kind of, you know, typical and bland for JYGs. I like those ones that really shock you because they're the advertised point of the book. It's a game book. You choose your own path, and you see how it ends. And if it's a wild enough ending, it'll be super fun to see it play out, and it might be great payoff. Most of them in here, apart from the good amount that are, like, pretty darn good to awesome, are drab or bland. None are awful, though, so I'll give it that. I give this book a high 7.5 out of 10. Not the weed kind of high. It's pretty darn good, and for what it is, I think a lot of people really like this one, and this is one of the most famous JYGs, whilst not being read or talked about much, is because the monsters in it are iconic. Nasty Kathy, the cover art's iconic. And she's the main front and center thing. The Annihilators were used in most of the modern games and 2015 film. And you also have the RoboCop, Ralph. He was in the 2015 video game. Crazy. But the book itself is just pretty darn good, and it's one I genuinely do recommend just because it's got those twists. Hope you guys enjoyed this book review. Tell me what you think about Toy Terror, batteries included down below, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.